Welcome in to the Train with the Best podcast. I am Craig Hoffman, a former media professional and still fitness professional.
And I'm Chris Gorres, still a fitness professional and former co-podcast host of what will today be the last episode of of something that we're both very proud of, our final episode of the Train with the Best podcast.
It is. Surprise, this is it. It is weird, Chris, because it's been all over my social media, and I did a whole final radio show and did a Final Take Command episode, my football podcast with our pal Logan Paulson. And there's probably listeners to this podcast that aren't subscribed to any of that, and thus they're finding out right now. And also, I'm sure there's some folks that saw all that and then were like, well, I wonder what's going to happen. They're normally on a summer break anyway, so I guess they'll come back eventually. But this is going to be our final episode of the show. For those that don't know, I have taken a new role with Monumental Sports, specifically Monumental Basketball, the Washington Wizards of the NBA, the Washington Mystics of the WNBA here in DC. I am the Senior Director of Basketball Identity and Integration, which is a big, fancy title. That means I'll be doing communications and strategy and Lord knows what else. We're going to very much figure some pieces of this out as we go. But they reached out with this tremendous opportunity and had great conversations with team president Michael Winger, and we've landed here. And so with the time that I'll have to dedicate to that job full time, very, very full time, as well as just I don't feel good about being on the inside of a team necessarily and then doing stuff outside that framework. We've made it is a difficult, but also not, in some ways, decision. It's just so obviously to me the right thing to do that this, as well as all the other things that we're doing are going to have to come to a close. But Chris, I should have looked this up. What's one more? I should have looked this up, in my broadcast career. What are we, 8 years doing this? 2017?
I think. I want to say it's about 2017, 2018. Yeah. I was still living in Leesburg, Virginia when we did this. We started out at Zoe's basement. We've done episodes far before we had these fancy mics and the fancy camera setups that we have right now. We had the little portable thing that we were filming out, or not filming, but just recording out of my car, so that we
wouldn't
have
a little Tascam recorder. We use
right.
that. We've done episodes on iPhones. How many different states have we done this show in? Virginia,
Indiana,
DC,
Arizona,
Florida. Yep, I've done episodes. Have we done one together? Oh yeah, we did, because we did the Onyx Camp episodes. But I also remember doing one with Yo down in Florida on a trip that I made to Tampa. We've had to have done one in Maryland somewhere, right?
For sure. I'm sure that we have.
Healthy Baller. I've done episodes of Healthy Baller.
Yeah.
So there's Maryland. Got Rockville. Shout out to Wes and the crew. There's probably more. We've done so many episodes. We already named Indiana, but we've done so many episodes in Indiana over the years.
Right.
And it's just the thing about this show, Chris, is without it. And without the show, but I mean, really, that's more of a stand-in for my relationship with you and what I've learned as a fitness coach. I can't take on the job that I'm about to take on. The unique things that come together to make me. And I'm not saying I'm special in any way over anybody else. Just we're all unique. That's the definition of unique. But the formula that has turned me into whatever I am. Yes, it's the broadcasting and the media skills, but I think the thing that always shaped me to be a little bit different in that world and allows me to enter the new one that I'm going into is the intimate knowledge of what it takes to be a professional athlete, what it truly takes to be the best of the best, what it takes to be inside that world, the trust, and also just how high performers function. I mean, so much of our show, yes, we did a lot of programming and we did science and all these different things, but so much of what we talked about was the mentality of it all, and understanding that, and the conversations that I've gotten to have over the years, the people that I've gotten to meet through this show and through my relationship with you, nevertheless, our personal friendship and all that goes with that, to me, it's the thing that separates me from a different media person which is not to say that, again, like I'm some better person for it, but it is a separator that gave me a unique experience. And I think was an essential part to set me up to be in the position that I'm about to enter.
Well, man, that's awesome. It's awesome to see you kind of grow, and it is part of what makes you unique. But it's one of those cases where you have a finished product, and it's one of those things where it's like a chia pet. You just add water, right? Like, so the things that make you special and unique have always been there, Craig. Like, you've always been somebody who's passionate about people. You've always been somebody who's passionate about um, not just entertaining people, but educating people and giving them information, and then letting them make educated decisions about what they want to do, whether it be on the fitness side, or whether it be educating them about what's happening with the Washington Redskins or the Washington Spirit, or now, the Washington Wizards. So, that's always been a part of you, and it's cool to see you get this opportunity, because I've watched you grow. I've learned a shit ton about media and the type of work that goes into telling the stories for people, and the type of integrity that you have to take, right? Like, there's a lot that gets thrown our way that, like, you have to be the one that's responsible for telling the story and telling it in a responsible way. So I've learned a lot from you. And I can't thank you enough for helping me find my own voice, right? Like, 8 years ago, 9 years ago, whenever it was that we started this podcast, it started with Happy Privilege on old Sports Radio 980. And then, through my conversations with you, and through the episodes that we've done and conversations that we've had, not just with each other, but with folks like Crystal Dunn, with people like Derek Carr, certainly Lorenzo Alexander, who was a big part of this when we started in his basement. It's helped me find my own voice, and helped me understand that, wow, people actually care what I have to say. And that wasn't always something that I was confident in. It's still something that I probably struggle with, but you've helped me to find that voice. You've helped me to find my authority and my lane in this industry, and where I can fit in, and where I can continue to serve. So I can't thank you enough for the voice that you've given me.
Well, I guess the chia pet analogy works for both of us then, because then I guess we can just switch places on who's the chia pet and who's the water. Because it really was like the funny thing about this show is, like, you basically, I mean, we've told the story before, but what's one more time? I remember vividly sitting in the Publix parking lot, and I guess, yeah, technically that's still in Ruston. It's not quite Herndon. So Ruston, Virginia, where I was living at the time, and I was sitting in in the Publix parking lot, or not the Publix, the Harris Teeter parking lot, and getting a DM from you being like, "Call me," and I was like, "Okay," because at that point I only knew you from some mutual friends, like shout out to Courtney Dipp. And that you had previously been a huge part of setting up the explosive performance program that I was at the time a part of, and fairly new to. But I also knew you from Instagram, and you were training like a lot of top players at that point. So you weren't obviously an Instagram trainer, but like you were someone in the sports performance world where it's like, oh, this dude trains Crystal Dunn and Ali Krieger, and he's worked with Ryan Kerrigan and like all these people. And then I followed his athletes, and it's like, oh, their workout sessions are with this guy. Like, oh, he lives around the corner. Like, that's cool. And so you reached out to me, and then we obviously got coffee at the infamous Pete's meeting, and kind of set out to figure out, like, you were like, I want to build my brand. I don't know what that means. You seem like someone who could be useful in that. And I was like, well, if you want to talk into microphones, I think I got you covered.
Right.
Beyond that, I'm willing to take some risks and some experiments. And like, it's been fun to watch it grow. And I think the show has evolved over the years. We had different things that were different focuses at different time, whether it was being more guest heavy and talking to people, whether it was exploring certain subjects, whether it was, having a real loose definition of what the show was. And then, at times being like, we should probably batten down the hatches a little bit. And I think in the last, year and a half or so of the show, we've been a lot more focused on like what it truly means to be a show. I forgot the tagline, but whatever. What are you guys going to do? Not listen to the next one? Of like, it's the show that's bringing high performance to the people. And that clarifying statement versus what we kind of set out to do of just having conversations with high performers, I think was a really great way to try to serve an audience. And I use the term audience broadly, not just of this podcast, but of anybody that could find it. And I think that's the last thing I'll say is just, like the archive will stay up. And I think so much of what we were able to do the last 8+ years is stuff that if I were to get in a rut, I could go find an episode and be like, oh, that's still relevant. And I think that's a really cool show to do in so many ways.
Yeah, and I think for me personally, I can look back at that archive and I can remember those conversations, and I can remember where we were in our lives at those conversations, because there was, there was pre-Rachel in the part of this, right? Like, you didn't
Yeah.
know Rachel, you didn't even know who she was when we started this, right? And like you said, we started this as just, hey, we're going to have these conversations anyway in between sets.
Right.
Let's put some mics out here and let's see what happens, right? And then, like you said, like it merged into being able to speak with some pretty cool people across the industry that held various roles, and to be able to explore everything that goes into what high performance means, right? Whether it be the training, whether it be the recovery, whether it be the technology and the science and the data that goes behind some of these training methodologies. Like, it's been really cool to see. And then again, I can kind of look back and just personally see kind of where we were at the time, where I was at the time when we had these conversations, because you helped me through a ton personally throughout the course of this show, and we've been through quite a bit, and that's certainly not going to end. Like, the broadcast will end, but the friendships are going to last for forever, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched your kids grow up. Like,
That's true. Yeah.
when we talked about, we were doing episodes in your car, the reason we had to do episodes in your car was because Bree was a baby and she was sleeping. Bree is now like a little human, who's far older than she should be. Like, where is the time going? Mila was barely a teenager, and she's just completed her freshman year of college and about to go on to year 2. Like, it's, we had breakfast with Mila a couple weeks ago, and she was just up here on her own in DC, like working, doing stuff, and then she can drive. Like, this is a young adult that we're having breakfast with, as opposed to the child that I met all those years ago. So yeah, it's the personal stuff is just always going to be lasting. And I think on that way, like, you were saying some stuff that, like, put this thought in my head. Like, I think in some ways we were like, specific to this show and the industries that we taught each other about. I think we were also the person that each other needed in a lot of ways. Like, you were looking for someone who was going to give you that confidence, be like, no, you should say that thing.
Yeah.
And I was someone who's like, hey man, like, you're like the smartest dude I know in this. Can you please, like, you got these doofuses on the internet saying stuff, like, if they're confident enough, we need you to be saying stuff because you're actually right. And like, have that confidence and be out there and think about these things and how you present and all those things. And I think for me, like, one of the areas where as a person I have grown the most in the last, let's call it 7-8 years. And I think you helped with this tremendously. And then Rachel has helped with this as my life partner tremendously as well, is just like attacking situations with humility. And the ability to, even though you might know a lot, like, what doesn't change based off of the other people in the situation. You know what you know. But even if you're pretty sure you know what's going on, to walk into a room and be like, what's going on here? Like, what do you think? How can I help you? And like, approaching that with empathy and humility always, and like letting those characteristics lead. There's no way that Michael Winger hires 27-year-old Craig Hoffman. He was too arrogant. And not that I was like a bad person. I don't think. I hope not. But like, I definitely was someone who was confident without quite as much humility. And I think part of that is just getting older, but part of getting older is surrounding yourself with great people. And I think back to something we've talked about often, the 5 people in the room. And even if your goal is to be the third person in the room, where you got 2 people smarter than you and 2 people that are not, you don't want to be the smartest or the dumbest person in your room. If so, find a new room. Walking in like you are the dumbest person in the room, in a way, to use another great phrase from this podcast history, the white belt mentality that Vinny Scolo gave us.
Right.
I think that has changed my life in a way that's far beyond how I approach training, far beyond how I approached media, that approach, every situation in my life, I try to now approach in that way.
Yeah. I think it like, I think of a conversation that I just had with Mila the other day. It was about just bringing it back to the training stuff. Is astrograph squats, like why astrograph squats exist, why they don't exist, why to do them, why not to do them, and the answer is always it depends. Like it depends. I can't tell you that like this is always the answer or always not the answer. The answer is always it depends. And I think that going to what you were just kind of alluding to, having that confidence of like having to have all the answers, and really the confidence is like, hey, I'm confident in my ability to not know the right answers, but to ask the right questions. And I think that's something that both of us have learned throughout the course of this show and throughout the course of our lives over the last 7 to 8 years. And certainly like the things that you have given to me, from just being able to forgive myself type of deal, and being able to be confident and in my voice, like you said, and being able to share some of the things that I'm willing to share, and be a little bit more, I don't know, just courageous, and share my vulnerabilities with people. That wasn't something that I was going to do 2016. I wasn't going to share my vulnerabilities with the world. And now I'm totally cool with it. I don't even think about doing it anymore. I just do it. Right. So it's like, hey, like my vulnerabilities don't make me weak. They make me strong. Right.
Yeah.
And because I can talk about it, I can own it and not run away from it. But yeah, like it's humbling to think how far both of us have come.
Yeah, for sure. I think like it's funny when you talk about like the asking the right questions thing. Like it's such a simple concept, and I feel like we've both hit each other with this at times. Like just the ability to distill something down and just be like, "This is the thing," and like it's fundamentally changed the way I think doing this show, which is cool. And so much of it I can look back and be like, "Oh no, I got that from Chris." And that's the nature of the industry. If you're in any industry, like for us now, more specifically talking about fitness, like I say I got it from you, and I'm like, oh, Chris is a genius. It's all Chris, and then you're like, yeah, except for I stole that from that person, that from that person, that from that person, and I don't know
Right.
that. And so like the ability to pass down knowledge, and I know that I've been fortunate that folks have told me over the years like, oh, I learned that from you. And so there's these trainers that I worked with when I was at One Life in Reston that they still occasionally will hit me up and be like, oh yeah, I remember when you taught me that thing, or like, I still do it the way you taught me. Obviously some of the clients I work with, they're able to have changes in their fitness journey or get out of pain or break through on this thing. And it's like, oh yeah, because you told me this thing a year ago. And I was like, I did. And, in my mind, you don't want to take any credit for it because I'm just like, oh yeah, well I got that from Chris. Like I was just the messenger. Like, don't thank me. But like it is crazy if I were to sit down and think about it, how, whether it's in fitness or without, just like how many ways that are foundational and fundamental to the way that I operate in the world and things that I will take with me into this new role at Monumental with 2 professional basketball teams will emanate from this show, and that are probably episode titles somewhere in the 200 and almost 80 episodes. I don't know what number this will be. 280 roughly episodes that we have done. It's just, it truly is foundational. It's one of the proudest things I've done in my life is doing the show. And I am incredibly grateful that it's given us not just our friendship and relationship, and if it did, that would be enough. But I think of my great friend Elise Caldwell, who is coming up to this area and is become a great friend and someone who I assume will be a lifelong friend, who I met basically through this show. And Lorenzo, who is like family, on down the list, the folks at Exos, just the tremendous amount of great, intelligent, extraordinarily high level people that we've been fortunate enough to interface with. And it's cool. It's a cool life we've gotten to live. And this show's been a big part of it.
Yeah, man. We started this show with principles over methods, and we're ending it with principles over methods. What are the principles that we take from the show? Everything that we've come to learn, and everything that we've come to know, all of the development and all of the growth that we've experienced, and it still comes back to principles over methods, right? And the principles will always last.
Always, always, always. So that's it. That's our show. Not just this episode, but like that's our show. I mean, who knows? In the future, could things change? Absolutely. But for now, this is a wrap on the Train with the Best era. You can still follow Chris. I mean, I'm still coaching, at least as long as I possibly can, up here in the DC area, and the things that I've learned as a coach, I will take with me forever. But if you're actively searching out fitness content, Chris is still producing it on Instagram at Trainer Gorres. Who knows, man? If you want to find a new podcast host, like, I'll give you the keys. Like, you figure out how to drive. But this era of Train with the Best is coming to an end. So for Chris Gorres, for Lorenzo Alexander, for my wife Rachel, who's been an essential and integral part of this show as well, both on air and behind the scenes, since she entered my and our lives about 5 years ago. Just thank you to all of you who have reached out over the years, who have taken the time to listen or watch, and we just appreciate you tremendously. To all of our sponsors who have supported us all along as well. They know who they are, some of whom are still with us, like Momentous has been with us for so many years, and Jaku and BlazePod, to like the boys at Super Coffee back in the day who took chance on us real early. It was early in their timeline, early in ours.
Yeah, cover one was the first one, right?
So remember, it was a little chunky back in the day. They've gotten that more than straightened out. One of the biggest players in their space. So thanks to everyone who's made this happen. We appreciate you. So one last time for Chris, I'm Craig, and thanks for listening. Train with the Best podcast.